On this week's episode, Corn Ferry Tour player Alex Weiss sat down with us to share his crazy year on tour.
The story about his first PGA Tour Latino start might have you grabbing a barf bag.
He's got stories for days, Mike, and some good rapid-fire answers, too. Join us next about Fairways.
Girlfriend, so she and I am still just, I'm going to wait. I'll talk to you guys and I'll eat afterwards, but
Wow.
That's no big deal.
Are you sure? I mean, we've had people eat
No,
dinner while they're,
Yeah.
it's normal,
No,
dude.
that's okay, man. It's all
real
good.
life.
It's all good.
Right on, man. Well, thanks for joining us, man. I'll give you the full introduction. Alex Weiss went to school, you played at Marshall.
Correct. Yes, sir. We are Marshall.
We are Marshall. I love that. Born in Columbus, Ohio, turned pro in 2018. I know your year ended last week in Omaha. Not how you wanted to finish it, of course. We wanted you here in Boise, but overall, just assess your year.
It was a learning experience for sure. Not having, full membership to start out the beginning of the year, finishing one outside of the top 40 at finals. I didn't really know what I was going to get in the beginning of the season. Fortunately, I got into 3 of those first 4 international events. But I didn't make a cut until Bogota. And so I kind of showed up to Bogota there with no points and kind of looked at it as I need to make a cut this week, or I didn't think I was going to get into any tournaments the rest of the year. And so obviously that turned out to not be true because we got that far down our priority list in a couple weeks, like I think Kansas City and maybe Chicago or something, where some guys still got in off their number from Q school. But yeah, I mean, I thought Bogota was going to be my last week if I didn't make that cut. And so I made the turn that week at I think I was 3 over total and the cut was 4 under. And I shot 7 on the back 9 to make that cut on the number. And I mean, that almost felt like a win. And so luckily those points got me into Lake Charles and eventually Savannah, even though I got in on Wednesday afternoon. And then making those 2 cuts kind of set me up for the rest of the year. So it was kind of stressful in the beginning, not really knowing where I was going to play or what I was going to get into. And I got into a little bit of a groove there through the middle of the season where I could kind of set my schedule and stuff, but got sick the week of Knoxville, and I played Knoxville and Kansas City pretty under the weather, and then took a couple weeks off after that in Chicago and in Wichita, just trying to keep the energy levels up. So didn't get to play as many events as I would have liked to throughout the year. But we've learned a lot, and hopefully we get back through second stage, final stage this year, and we can kind of take advantage of it next year.
What'd you say to yourself when you were at +4 and you had to shoot, what you had to go to? I mean, that's a pretty remarkable turnaround there. Considering what was at stake, right?
Yeah, right. I don't really know if it was as much what I said to myself as much as, I just kind of got really pissed off at myself and said, you might as well do something about it. And so that luckily I was playing the shorter course in Bogota, which, you have like a couple holes that are like borderline drivable, a couple or a really reachable par 5 and stuff like that, where you can really get after a few holes. And I kind of just made like 2 putts of some length and then kind of left a couple eagle putts like around the edge of the hole. And I think I had to play the last 2 holes 2 under, just 2 short par 4s. And we decided to lay it back on one of them with this kind of odd green. It was a little narrow, and the pin was up on a shelf. We laid it back to hit a wedge in with some spin, and I actually holed that wedge out on my 17th hole. And it was
Nice.
like kind of right there where I finally got like kind of pumped, like really into it. Even like until that hole, I was still like, what the hell am I doing? Like, this is ridiculous. And then finally I like made that wedge, and then all of a sudden I was on the number. And so that made that weekend. I really appreciated playing that weekend. Let's put it that way. So
Nice. Hey, I saw on your profile it says you had offers to play college baseball, but only one for golf. What made you go direction of golf?
So I had a couple. I could have played a couple places for golf. Only one Division I offer, which was Marshall. There were a couple of Division III schools that I had guys that I had played in high school with that were playing there. It was like Wittenberg, which is in Springfield, Ohio, and then Guilford College, which is down in Greensboro. And basically, I played baseball until I finished high school, and it was a small school in West Virginia that their coach basically knew my golf coach, and he just said that I could come play baseball there if I wanted to. That was really the end of it. I really didn't pursue a whole lot of like recruitment in baseball.
Right.
It was more so just somebody was like, yeah, he'd come play here if he wants to. He just kind of watched a game or two. I played in high school, and that was about it. So
golf was the passion for sure.
yeah, I mean, I still to this day, like baseball is incredibly fun. Having a team of guys and everything that you play with every day and whatnot, is still fun. But yeah, I mean, I love playing golf, and I always wanted to play golf after high school.
So you're a Reds or Indians fan?
Grew up Reds fan. My grandfather. Yeah, he was a
that's
big Reds guy.
That's too bad.
Yeah,
I grew up in St. Louis, so
yeah. But I'm sure it's a little more fun being a Cardinals fan right now than a Reds fan. So
yeah.
Cards have been good for years. So I mean, shoot.
Well,
Yeah.
I honestly, you grew up with the Cards Cub rivalry, and I really didn't develop a hatred for the Reds until there was that big fight like 15 years ago, and our catcher got kicked in the face and ended his career. And so then I was like, yep, I gotta switch it over to the Reds now.
See, that's even like before my like remembrance of watching Reds ball at that point. So, but yeah, I'm all over the place with sports teams though. Just whichever family member I grew up watching whatever sport with. So I always watched football. My grandfather, he was a Reds guy. I watched football with my dad. He's a Steelers guy. I watched hockey with friends growing up, and we all grew up Columbus Blue Jackets fans, even though, my dad's all Pittsburgh guy. So he hates that. But yeah, so you couldn't nail me down to a city anyway.
Sure.
Yeah, you're all over the board. Did you grow up playing golf and liking it and just kind of?
I was a little kid. My grandpa, he played, take me out to the 9-hole course down the street. We would go play out there. My whole dad's side of my family plays, and they've always had their, which one of like my generation, the cousins, like beating the uncles growing up was always a big deal and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I mean, I've played baseball and golf both since I was, knee high, and but golf was always the more family oriented sport.
Sure.
Right. And your family members have hole-in-ones.
A lot of them.
We've read. Yeah. How big is your family?
So my mom was an only child. So most of the extended type families on my dad's side, he had 2 brothers and a sister. And then I have 2 cousins from one of them, 2 from another. I have 3 from 2 of them, but the youngest one of them actually passed away last fall while I was going through Q school. She had a brain cancer that she dealt with for a little while pretty well, and then it got pretty bad last fall, and it was tough because to see them all go through that, and it happened as I was going to second stage, and that was one of the tough things that golf had to make me decide, and they were all very supportive of it, where I didn't make it back for her funeral because of second stage. And I don't necessarily want to say that I was like playing at that time for my family or anything, but I think that from what everybody had told me, that provided a lot of happiness for that part of the family in a time that was pretty tough for all of them.
Sure. That's hard not to be in front of everybody's mind.
Well said.
Yeah. So, I would never necessarily say that I was, playing for my cousin or anything like that. But if it provided any form of relief to them in that kind of time, gave them something to be happy about, then
Sure.
that's more than what I could be happy to do.
Absolutely. That's what I love about sports. It's such a good divergence of, crappy times in
Yeah,
the
for sure.
world or personally. So how many siblings do you have? Do they play golf? Do they play sports? Are they pretty active?
Yeah, I mean, I just have the one sister. She was pretty athletic when she was a kid, and then she played volleyball a lot. She never really got into golf with the rest. She was always good. I mean, she went to the golf camps, and now she plays recreationally. She had a hole in one. I mean, basically in her like third 9 holes really ever since she like really started playing.
That's how it always happens, right?
It's great, and it wasn't like it was on some like chump golf course on a
Did we lose you?
Maybe. We'll see.
chump hole either. I mean, it was. You guys still there?
We lost you a little bit. Go ahead. You're back.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, no, she hit a very legitimate golf shot on a legitimate hole, which I mean was pretty awesome to for her to do that. But she had a lot of she had a hip issue when she was I don't even know how old she was when she had the first surgery, but she's at this point had, I want to say like 5-ish surgeries, like trying to repair some after the first surgery, had some nerve damage and stuff like that. Trying to just get everything kind of back to normal, I guess. So that kind of ended her playing volleyball and most of, what she could do in the athletic realm, but she likes to go play golf and, hang out there and whatnot now. And she's starting to get more into it as she gets a little older. So, but no, she's the best. So
Awesome.
How many hole-in-ones do you have?
I have 5, so I am leading the family, fortunately.
Do you guys have a trophy? You have to have a trophy for the family, right?
Oh man, not for the most. My dad actually just had his second, like last week or maybe the week prior. I can't remember. But the big thing was when I was growing up, my dad hadn't had one. And he was like the only one of the siblings that hadn't had a hole in one, I guess. So they all needled him at Christmas and all this. Like they would take the family picture of all the hole in ones and make him take it or whatever the joke was. And so then like the big bet became when I was like, like 11 of like, is Alex going to have one before you do? And him and I were playing, just the two of us, like one fall after like my junior high season had ended or something. And I made one playing with him, and like everybody in the family owed me like $50 or something like that for getting one before my dad. So that one was kind of cool. But yeah, it's been about 1.5 years since I had one. So we might be due, but I don't think you're ever quite due for one of those.
That's true. Any in competition?
No, unfortunately.
Okay.
I wish. I haven't even had to buy a drink for any of them. Like only one of them's happened. Like
Lucky guy.
Since I turned 21. Like I had a couple with my grandpa and his friends where like they don't really drink a whole lot. They were just kind of pumped. So I haven't had to like foot a bar tab for any of them, which is kind of surprising. But
Mike, you might need to check my math on this one, but out of all the players that we've had on the pod, I think you are leading out of our guests having the most hole in ones.
Yeah.
that's a good one to have.
So you're the leader in the clubhouse for the most hole in ones for all the players that we've had. So
Yeah, you got
Well
5 more than I do.
Well,
yeah, me too.
My grandpa's got to be a 15, 20-ish plus handicap, and I mean he's had 2. So
Yeah.
I mean everybody just hits the one shot once in a while.
You're telling us there's hope, Alex. You're telling us
there's
hope.
always hope.
Come close a lot of times, but I actually had one jar on the fly, broke the cup, ball went flying back out of the cup.
Oh no, that's the worst.
Stick fell out, cup cracked, like made a whole big scene about the whole thing, and everyone's losing their mind. And I was so pissed off.
No, yeah, you can't have that. That's the worst break of all, I think.
So you turned pro in 2018. Walk us through that decision of just making that leap of faith and deciding and where you're going to play and where you're going to try to go get status. Walk us
Yeah.
through that
So
decision.
when I kind of went into my senior year of college, kind of needing to show myself that it was a real possibility. And I think I needed to prove it to like my parents and my coach and everything, the people that I kind of make those decisions with. And fortunately, I had a senior year that kind of showed that I should at least give it a try while I could. I did stay AM through the summer after I graduated. I wanted to try to give winning our state amateur one more shot, getting back to another US amateur one more shot. And then unfortunately, I finished second for the second year in a row at our state amateur. And then I think I missed qualifying for the USAM that year by one. So while I played some good golf that summer, it was a little disappointing on that end. And so after the USAM qualifier was when I decided to turn pro. And at the time here in Orlando, the Florida Elite Tour had started up, which was a pretty well-run mini tour with some good courses and guys like the payouts and stuff. It was kind of everything you really wanted, where they're giving you food, they're cutting checks the same day, kind of mini tour dream, really. And so, and Orange County National was running a pretty good practice deal. So that was where I knew a lot of guys were at. And so me and a couple guys I went to college with, we just decided that that was where we were going to go. I decided to give Q School a run that year, which started while I was still in Columbus. So I made that drive over to Nebraska for first and second stage. And which I don't recommend that 13-hour drive to anybody. It's very boring by yourself. But yeah, we decided we were going to come down here to Florida. But right before I moved down here, I don't know if I would have made it work as well as I did without some help from the members of the course I was playing out of in Columbus, and then a bunch of people that I knew around the course that I grew up at and I worked at in Pickerington, which was Turnberry Golf Course. The head pro there was he taught me since I was like 10. He was my boss since I was like maybe 13. That was where I worked. I would work 10 hours a week for range balls and playing golf for free and stuff like that before I turned 18. And then once I turned 18, he hired me in the pro shop. So I worked in there and I could do all the same stuff, but at least make a little money. And he organized a fundraiser outing for me at the golf course before I moved down here to Orlando, with, other people that had worked here and whoever else that I had run into along the way, on a pretty miserable, rainy, cold, windy day in like late October in Columbus, Ohio. I mean, I think we had like, I can't even remember how many people it was. It was a lot of people. It was probably like 80 plus people showed up for that outing, basically just to support me. And I want to say that from that outing, and then probably about 15 to 20 members at the golf course, Heritage Golf Club over in Hilliard that I played out of in Columbus. Between all of them, I think they got together. It was in the ballpark of $18,000, which was the fact that many people wanted to come out of their pockets just to see me play golf was wild. I mean, there's not a lot of things that, like made me get super emotional or anything, but
Sure.
Sitting there at that outing, that was one of them. And, I mean, I was going to do whatever I could to make that money last as long as possible once I moved down there. I mean, we found as cheap a place as I could find to live, with those other guys, and found a golf course down here to work at, that I still play out of, which is the Country Club of Winter Haven. They've been incredible to me down here. But I worked there so I could play. I think eating, I would eat for a week off about $50 when I went to the grocery store on Monday. At one point, I know I was Uber driving around here in Orlando trying to make money on the side also. I I was gonna do whatever I could to make sure that I had as much time as possible to try to make this work. So, but yeah, I came down here in November of 18, played Q school that year and missed at second stage. And so then it was kind of back to the drawing board after, throwing up the $5,500 that it cost back in 2018. And a couple guys, an other teammate of mine that wasn't one of the guys I was living with, we decided we want to try to play the Latin Tour, and we signed up for that Q school. And I don't know if you guys have heard the horror stories about the Q school signups for the international tours, but
No.
I mean, at that time there was only one one American site for the 4 Latin Tour Q schools, which was here at Mission Inn in Florida. And so obviously that one's going to get the most people to sign up for it, but it was there. There's one in Argentina, one in Mexico, and one in Brazil. And I think I submitted my application to try to get Florida. It was less than 4.5 minutes after the entries opened up. And I mean, it's not like 4.5 minutes where you just click one button. I mean, you've got to enter however much information and all the payment stuff and everything. And it was, I think, like 4 minutes and however many seconds later. And I mean, I was like 40th down the wait list to get into the one in Florida.
Wow.
And so him and I both looked at each other, and Brazil had like 65 or 70 guys playing it. And I mean, they're giving out, you have like 12 guys that are going to be exempt for at least the first half of the year. And then like 30 more cards. I think the top 40 got you like some form of status, I guess. And so we both decided that we were just going to make the trip to Brazil and play it down there, which was at the Olympic course. And so that was our plan at that point. And that was the first time I'd ever even left the country, was going to Rio de Janeiro to play that Q school. And we both go down there. He played really good that week. I think he finished like 10th or so. And I played like dog shit. I shot 1 million. I don't remember what the total number was. I know it was a lot. And I finished like 50th. And then I was really back to the drawing board. And for whatever reason, I look back on it to this day and can't really figure out why I made this decision, because it sounds like the dumbest thing I've ever heard in hindsight. But I asked him, I was like, what do you think about me coming down and trying to Monday into these first 3 tournaments? And if I don't Monday in, I'll caddy for you. And we'll, you can pay, I think we agreed on like $75 a day for him to caddy for me, or for me to caddy for him if I didn't get in. And that was what we decided. I don't know how I came to that idea or anything, but that was the idea. And so I think it was in maybe late February that year, somewhere around there, maybe March. The first one was in Panama. I think this story is still online somewhere. Some guy wrote an article about it a couple weeks later. Yeah.
Go on though. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, go on.
But I fly down there, and that qualifier was on a Sunday for some reason in Panama City. The tournament was like an hour and 20 minutes outside of Panama City. And I get down there. I played like 2 days worth of practice rounds. Really liked the golf course. I actually went back to this golf course this year when we were playing the Corn Ferry event in Panama City. I missed the cut that week, and they were really nice and let some of us go out and play there this year. But Sean Bush and I, who he's not playing anymore, but he played that tour for a year or two, an Ohio State guy. We're splitting a hotel room, and we go out for dinner Saturday night. And I mean, at about 2:00 in the morning, I wake up and I'm like, I don't feel very good. And I like lay there hoping that it'll go away. And I mean, not more than 2 minutes later, I walked over to the bathroom and just threw up everything. And I laid back down like, all right, I fell asleep for maybe 10 minutes, and I woke up again and I had to throw up again. I was like, that's not good. And so at that point, Sean's playing this qualifier also, and I'm not going to sit in the room and like, I don't throw up very quietly either. It's pretty loud. And so I tell him I'm not going to wake him up and make him be miserable through this night with me. And so I go down to the lobby, and I just pulled up residence in this lobby bathroom for, I don't know, 2 hours or so, just every 20 minutes. And finally I like get a break enough. I try to ask the guy at the front desk where a pharmacy might be that's open. So the unfortunate part was that this is Saturday night into Sunday, where all of these 24-hour pharmacies everywhere down there is closed on Sunday. So he pointed me to one of them, and I tried to walk there, threw up in the street somewhere along the way there, where I'm sure every Panamanian person who's just out enjoying their South American Saturday night at 4 a.m. like they always do is thinking that I'm some drunk tourist who's just been just absolutely pissed drunk, throwing up in the street. And meanwhile, I feel like I'm going to die. So nobody's bothering to like see if I'm okay. And but that pharmacy's closed. I walk back. He points me to another one. It's closed. So finally, I just try to sit there on my phone. I Google one, and it's like a 15-minute Uber away. And I get in a car, go over there, almost threw up in the car. And I walk up, and the door's locked, but there's a window with a pharmacist in there who, she doesn't speak any English. I can speak very marginal Spanish, but not when I'm in that mindset. And so I like try as best I can to tell her that I can't stop puking. I need this medicine. And she sold me 3 unmarked pills in an unmarked paper sack. And I want to say it was like 74 cents or something like that. And that was what I got. And so I went back to the hotel. I got into the lobby. I took 2, and luckily I stopped throwing up by about 5:30. It was like 5:30 in the morning by the time I think I went to sleep. And when I woke up in the morning, it was like 110 degrees down there. There's no way I was going to go through 18 holes like that successfully. And so I booked a plane ticket out. I couldn't caddy for him either. I don't remember if his dad was there that week with him or not, but I wasn't going to be able to drive out there and caddy that week anyway. So I booked a new flight to come home, and I get up on Monday morning to go to the airport, go through all my stuff. And then the real fun started, where my passport was gone, just vanished. It had to be stolen, because I got an email like 5 months later that they had my passport somewhere, that somebody like tried to use it for something, I guess. I don't really know. But so somebody along the way had taken my passport, and I didn't know what to do. I mean, the embassy wasn't open yet. My flight was at like 9:30. And I don't know who this guy is. I wish I knew his name. I wish I knew his address so I could send him like a thank you card every year forever. But I ran into some guy who worked like customs or border or something for the US out of Miami. Just ran into him at the desk. And I had like a printed copy of my passport page, driver's license, whatever else. And basically he basically talked to everybody that got me back in a flight back to the US, like through security and everything. I had to go to some other building where they asked me a bunch of questions. They had to fax something to the government. The government had to stamp it, send it back. And somehow that was enough to get me on a plane. Then I had to go through the questioning back here once I got through, which was surprisingly easier than I thought it would be, considering I flew back without a passport. But then I don't have a passport, and I'm flying to Buenos Aires in boy, I want to say it was, if I got back on Monday, it was the following Friday. I was like, not that Friday, but the week after. So what is that, like 10 days, 11 days? I was supposed to fly to Buenos Aires with no passport. So then I had to make the drive down to Miami to that passport center, get a new one, which got there, I think, either Wednesday or Thursday before I left. And then after that, I Mondayed in that week at the Canuelas tournament, which was cool. I mean, I was 15 pounds lighter than I was in Panama. I mean, I didn't have enough time to put any weight back on. I was probably the skinniest I've been since maybe high school, honestly. And I Mondayed in there, but I missed the cut. And it was like, I think it was a withdrawal, but I had like one hole to play on Friday and they like suspended it. And I was, I don't know, 4 shots off the cut line. So I didn't go back out. But I caddied for my buddy Saturday, Sunday. My flight to Santiago was Sunday night, getting in. I think I got into Santiago at about 2 a.m. on Monday. But I caddied for Davey on Saturday and Sunday, made myself my $150 and, went on my way. But I got in Monday morning into Santiago, and golf course I hadn't seen before, and shot 3 under in that Monday and got in there too. And then that week was the week that basically started everything in my entire professional career. I shot, I think, 8 under on Thursday. Came pretty close to going wire to wire that week. Played with Joaquin Neiman on Saturday. Incredible dude, really, obviously a great player, as nobody needs to doubt at all after he's won on tour. But an incredibly nice guy also. And guy named John Summers ended up beating me on Sunday, making eagle on our 72nd hole, which even throughout all that day, not winning probably did more to prove to me that, this was a real option than anything else. Cause I mean, it was maybe the like 5th professional event that I had played in another country off a Monday qualifier. I had a 2-shot lead going into Sunday. I shot 69 on Sunday, and when John, he had like 40 feet for eagle, and then I had to, answer it. And I hit a 3-wood into that 18th green to like 10 feet. And, I really thought that he had 40 feet, he 2 putts, I got a chance here, and he just happened to roll in a 40-footer. So, I mean, I hit a lot of shots on that Sunday that were, big time enough shots that it was definitely something I was going to keep going after. And you're not making a lot of money down there. I didn't get to play really that first half of the season because I didn't get status until the reshuffle. But I kept my card down there that year, and had another year to go play there after not getting through second stage again that fall, which was probably still a good thing. I wasn't ready at the time. I was still too young, didn't know enough. I also didn't have the money to play the Korn Ferry Tour either. I mean, I barely had the money to play the Latin Tour. But
that's got to be the wildest story that we've heard to become a professional golfer, with all the adversity, all of the travel, losing your passport, you puking your guts out, and then you just decide to say, hey, you know what, screw it, let's just give it one last shot. And it worked.
Yeah, it worked. I mean, I don't know if I would have hung it up after, that trip. I don't think that might have necessarily been the end, but I mean, it would have been pretty demoralizing.
What'd you feel after all of that? Like, did you take a moment to actually sit down and go, holy shit, like look what I just did? And what'd that make you feel like?
Yeah. So for a while, I didn't get to really kind of like reflect on it for another like week and a half. So after after Santiago, that finish gets you into the next week, obviously. So then I had a flight booked back to Miami, out of Miami. So it was a direct and everything. That was supposed to be my last week, but then I got into the event in Cordoba. And so I had to scrap the flight to Miami, and I think I spent like $1,800 or something on airfare to get to Cordoba, and then Cordoba back to Miami. And I mean, pretty exhausted. I probably should have realized, I mean, there's no way I wasn't going to go play. I didn't have anywhere else to play. So getting a start was amazing. But I mean, the expectations of myself probably should have been a little bit better the week after, because I didn't play very well. But the lease that I had in Orlando it literally ended the day that I flew back from Cordoba. So flying back from Cordoba, you've got to fly to Buenos Aires, switch airports, and then like the Delta affiliate, whatever down there, is like the only airline to fly back on out of Cordoba. And so it was there, switch airports, and then to go through Atlanta, and then Atlanta back to Miami. And the day, so that was 24-ish hours of travel right there just to get back to Miami. And then that day that I got landed in Miami was the day that my lease was ending. And I hadn't been home in a month. So all of my stuff was still in that apartment. I literally landed in Miami at, I want to say like 10 a.m., drove back to Orlando and packed all of my stuff up in my car. And then I had to go home. I didn't have anywhere to stay down there. And so I drove to Atlanta to stay with a friend of mine, and then finished the drive back to Columbus the next day. And so it really wasn't until, a week and a half or so afterwards, and, about 48 hours of consecutive sleep, that I really got to kind of think about what all had happened and what all I had accomplished and everything like that back home with everybody. Because, everybody had anybody that I knew in the golf world wanted to talk about it. And
Sure.
I was sleepwalking for the first week that I was home, I think.
Is there something specific that you do? I'm always interested on how you guys respond to pressure on tour, because there's a lot of it. So you had a lot of pressure down there just to make it through Monday Q and get your cards. So when you feel pressure and when you feel that, all those 80 people watching you, is there something that you kind of hone into? How do you respond ultimately to pressure?
I think it's just, not letting anything get too fast. And that was something that even my coach and I had talked about was, when my brain started moving too fast, my golf swing would start moving too fast, and then everything's out of whack. And so I try to, maintain the same pace walking, little things like that. Try not to, go through any of my motions too quickly, because then once one thing gets going too fast, your entire, personal rhythm gets thrown off. So for me, it's just trying to keep everything kind of slow and controlled. That's really about it. There's not any, particular cue or anything, but, if you can just kind of keep your mind moving at the same pace and everything, and know that all the reps you put in practice are just going to be the same thing that you do.
Worth it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's about it.
On the flip side, when you're in the zone, like when you're just going out there and golf feels easy, what emotions do you feel then?
Boy, that's a good question. Unfortunately, I didn't have a lot of that for, the last month or so. I wish I did, but, probably the last time that I was really kind of just flowing was, the final round of Maine. I played really good and kind of everything just made sense. I think I shot like 7 under or something. And, I don't know. It's the same thing. Everything just feels like it's moving slowly. Like not everything's kind of at your pace, and you're just kind of not necessarily going through the motions, but just it's a weird kind of flow state that you find yourself in where, everything seems to be timed up right. And you happen to, you land on good numbers all the time and putts just look right, stuff like that. It's a weird thing to try to describe. I don't know if I've ever had anybody really try to describe it other than the fact that people just say, yeah, I was just kind of in the zone, like you said. But that's probably about it, where, just kind of everything moves at your pace.
And when you're in that zone, what's the best part of your game?
Usually when I'm in that zone, the best thing in my game in general is probably my iron play. But usually when I'm in that kind of zone, I'm usually driving the ball I'm seeing tee shots really well. I usually putt it pretty good, and I've been pretty good with the irons. The thing that I had a hard time with this year especially was getting the driver out in. And so usually, I drove it incredible that day in Maine, and I really drove it really good this last week in Omaha. Drove it pretty good that week. I don't know what the fairway statistics show, or anything like that. But for not being an enormous dude on tour, I'm pretty average built, but I move it pretty well. And it's more so about, finding fairways for me. And, I can kind of just step up, look at a tee shot and be like, I want to hit it here. And, more often than not, that's where it ends up going when you're in that kind of state of mind.
Your stats are decent here, Alex. Your driving distance is your 29th, 314. Accuracy is 58.73. You're 111th there. That's probably where you see that.
So
your greens and regulation isn't bad, 70%. Putting average is nice, 1.74.
Yeah. So the thing I really struggled with this year was definitely the accuracy with that driver, where, I would play. I want to say probably Illinois was probably the best case of it, where if you go back to those scorecards, I don't think I made enough birdies to catch whoever won, but I think I shot 10 under that week with, a handful of penalty shots, like, a triple, a couple doubles, stuff like that. It just seemed like there was I did the same thing in Maine. I think I hit a ball out of bounds each of the first 3 days in Maine. And so that was the thing that kind of plagued me throughout the year, was I would hit, one loose tee ball a day, and it would, kind of cost me big, where, if you just hit it in the right rough, you might make par, might make bogey, but you don't make double, you don't make triple. And that was something that I worked pretty hard on before those last couple weeks. I hit drivers basically until my hands bled between Missouri and Utah. I drove it like garbage in Missouri too. I think I might have made like 2 triples and 2 doubles in Missouri or something like that. I played awful there, but yeah.
Move the ball both ways, or do you play a stock shot?
No, when I'm playing good, I'm pretty much moving the driver from left to right. That's the one I see. And for the most part with the woods, the 3-wood I like to try to turn over a little bit, but then the stock iron shot has been a cut. But I'll be pretty comfortable working irons both ways, below like probably like 6 iron, 7 iron, in that ballpark. You get into the closer to scoring clubs, and I'm fine turning those over or cutting them or whatever I need to do. But
yeah,
I try to see the driver going one way. So that was something I worked really hard on that off week, was just moving it left to right.
What's the last shot that gave you nightmares?
The last shot that gave me like the shot I hit, or a shot that I like had to look at?
Yeah. Last shot that you had to hit.
Oh man. Boy, that's a good question too. Where did we play that? Oh man, I hated 14 in Raleigh. I hated it. I didn't know what to do. Me and my caddy worked. We went to the drive. It was 14
tee shot.
Raleigh.
The tee shot. Yeah. Okay.
14, 17 in Raleigh. We just like couldn't figure them out. We knew what we had to do, but we couldn't figure out how to do it. because 14, there was like a creek. It's a par 4. It's a great hole, honestly. But there's a creek that cuts across. It's like 240, 250 to cover that. And then the fairway kind of runs on an angle from like left to right. And you're like aiming at the front left corner of it because there's a huge tree on the right. So like you can't draw it into this fairway. And then there's the creek that's in front goes up the right and up the left. And then if you hit it through the left side of the fairway, it like slopes down into the creek. And if it doesn't go in the creek, it's still going to be like behind a bunch of trees. So really the only shot that I saw to get it in this fairway, like into the big area of the fairway, was to cut a 3-wood. And I had a 3-wood at the time that I just didn't cut. Like no matter what I did to it, I didn't cut it. It was right to left all day. And I think I hit that fairway 1 out of 4 days. I hit it in the creek at least once. And I think I hit it in the left rough at least. I think I hit it in the left rough the other 2 times. But we were trying to, just take hybrid and like hit it in the front of the fairway and just take like a 5-iron into the green. Or we were almost thinking about hitting driver off the deck just to like cut it up there that way, sort of where the creek pinched in. And then 17 was like the same thing where it just went straight out, but then it went straight down to the right. But if you hit it like through the fairway, it was going to like go through into these pine trees, and there were bunkers on the left. And then there was a creek down the right. So you could either like ship driver over the right and like hit it all the way to the bottom, or you could try to like chase it down there. And like both times we thought we hit really good tee shots, like right down the middle where they should like feed down this fairway. And both of them rolled through like into the rough and the downslope. And we literally made a club change Saturday night. I took the hybrid out and put a 3-iron in just to try to like hit that one tee shot. It was the only shot the entire day that I put that club in for. And we got to that tee box on Sunday, and wow, we were in like 50th or something like that, where it didn't matter. And I looked at him and I needed the hybrid on like 4. It was like we were in the rough on this par 5, and it was like the only club I could get to the green. It wasn't in the bag. And so I looked at him and I was like, after that, this ball better be in the fairway, or this was a complete waste of time. Unfortunately, I did hit it in the fairway. So, I mean, I guess it was worth it. But, I mean, it was just a hardish par 4 that I ended up making par on. And
had your number.
But, yeah, those 2 holes really, really had me that week. So
when you're in competition, you chit chat a lot with the other players, or you kind of just zone in on yourself?
I can do either. I can talk to guys as much as they want. I mean, I know I have guys that I play with that like to talk all day. I mean, Nick Vogt was a really personable guy who liked to talk a lot. And then you'd have other guys. I played with Max Grazerman in Omaha, and I mean, I think him and I said about 2 words to each other all day outside of like nice shot. So, I mean, I'm happy to do either. Most of the guys that I've had caddy for me are pretty good dudes. Well, not most, they're all good dudes. But a couple of them were like closer friends of mine. So, I mean, if other guys don't want to talk, I can talk to my caddy. But, I can also walk down there and just, shut my mouth and hit my shots and do whatever. I'm happy to do either, whatever the group decides that day.
You have a full-time caddy?
I don't. So I had 2 old teammates from Marshall, Cole Moore, who was actually living down here in Orlando with me. He looped through Q school last year, and he did some events this year. And then my other buddy, guy older than me, his name's Logan Lagadich. He did a handful for me also. And they kind of went back and forth. But they're both still trying to play. So I had to pick up some 1-week guys in the middle for like the Tennessee events while they were having their US Open qualifiers. And then Cole was working at a course back home, and Logan had some family emergencies come up last couple weeks that he wanted to be around home for, which I fully supported him in. So yeah, it was just kind of picking up guys for the rest of the year there. And guy named Ross, who played at Colorado, he's a great dude. He did those last 4 weeks for me. So hopefully next year, I mean, hopefully I can finish in the top 40, you know, make myself a full member and hopefully pick up somebody more full time.
Yeah.
I didn't know many of the tour caddies at that point. I'd met a lot of really good guys caddying out on that tour. So, you know, pending who has guys and who doesn't or anything like that, or Logan's playing Q school again this year, but I think that I don't think he minded, you know, doing it this year. So, I mean, I hope he wins Q school. I mean, he's a really good friend of mine. I would never hope that he doesn't, so that he can
For sure.
I mean, he did an awesome job. So, I mean, he'd be on a short list too and all that kind of stuff. So,
Well, when you make it to Boise next year and you're missing a guy, let us know.
yeah, we'll do. We'll do. I've had plenty of people who are like, yeah, if you need somebody in a pinch, I mean, just give me a call. So it's been nice. I mean, I try to be pretty easy to loop for. I mean, most time, I mean, I walk off my numbers and really don't call in for many reads. I just kind of, you know.
You got a staff bag or a carry bag?
Titleist makes you carry the staff bag.
All right, then, Mike, you're caddying for him. That's not me. I'll give that to you.
What's the policy on push cards?
Yeah, do they allow push cards on Corn Ferry Tour?
Strictly forbidden.
We need to look into this.
But trust me, that staff bag is more of a pain for me than it is for anybody else, because
sure,
it is impossible to keep that thing under 50 pounds on flights.
Yeah.
Right out of
it's pay the extra $25, whatever it is.
I flew back from Omaha and I think they dinged me $75 because it was like 56 pounds.
Of course, 6 over. That's how they get you.
Yeah.
So you say you're a pretty easy guy to loop for. You don't need to name drop, but what's some quirky, you know, oddities you've seen for other players and their caddies? Any sort of goofy requests or weird routines people have with their caddies?
Yeah, I mean, you've got the guys who kind of have their pre-shot ticks that, you know, maybe they need the towel 5 or 6 times, or you know, maybe they're calling them in for reads, or maybe they're, you know, kind of arguing with them over this or that. I mean, I know guys like there's a caddy named Lee who caddies full-time for Taylor Dixon, and he actually did a weekend for me there at the end of the year. He did the weekend for me in Omaha. Great dude. But when he caddies for Taylor, he was amazed at me because I carried my own yardage book and had my own pin sheet, because for Taylor, Taylor doesn't carry either. Lee gets every number. He just spits out a number at Taylor and goes, I think we should hit this club. And Taylor just pulls it and hits it. I mean, basically Lee just thinks everything for Taylor, and then Taylor hits the shots. Whereas, you know, for me, I'm probably going through my own process and getting my own numbers, seeing my own golf shot. And then I just kind of spit out what I'm thinking at a caddy sometimes. And they're either going to say, yeah, I agree, or no, that sounds crazy. So, but yeah, you know, just maybe some guys kind of have their OCD ticks before the shot and they need, you know, to wipe the towel, or I don't know. There really haven't been too many out there besides, I mean, that's really about it. You know, you just have some guys who sometimes they run a little hot. And if you I've seen guys where they get disagreed with their caddy and it ruins their whole day. So, I mean, there's definitely guys that are probably harder to loop for than others, but I mean, for the most part, everybody out there's a pretty good dude, it seems like. So,
right. So what's the rest of the year look like for you now?
So, unfortunately, I got to move out of this house I'm sitting in right now here, in the next 2 weeks. So, trying to take care of some of the life stuff right now of finding a place to live and, you know, dealing with all that. And then, second stage of Q school, I think, is the second week of October. So I am going to figure out where I want to play that. They got rid of the second stage site that I played at last year. So I think I'm going to take a trip up to Valdosta, see the golf course up there, and kind of make a decision on where I want to sign up for. I probably need to get my eyes worked on. My vision sucks and it's deteriorating at a pretty quick pace. So I'm looking to schedule an appointment with an eye doctor here in the next week. And then once I get all that squared away, I will probably make a trip back to Ohio is what it's looking like. There's a tournament, the Toledo Open that the Northern Ohio PGA runs is, I think, September 12th and 13th. And then I might have an invite to like a pro member event at a club up in Columbus the Friday prior. So, you know, might take a week up there and play a little golf back home, see the coach, see the family, all that kind of stuff. And then try to find, you know, another event or two to play before Q school, just keep myself sharp in those next like 4 weeks. I know I was doing that last year. The Swing Thought Tour was running last year. I think that tour has since dissolved when they lost their main financial guy. And but I would go and I'd play one of those the week prior to Q school and then go play Q school, take a week off, go play one of those, go play Q school. And I kind of like to kind of play in a row because then you know where your game's at in competition. Like it's easy for your game to feel good when you're just hitting balls around your own course and whatnot, doing all that. But when you actually have to, you know, hit shots that count, it's a little different. So
Right.
Well,
All right. Time.
yeah,
Go ahead.
go ahead, Mike. I was going to say, well, we'll let you get to your dinner here, but a couple questions. We like to do some
Yep.
rapid fire questions.
all right, hit me with it.
Okay.
Favorite
Mike, go
club
ahead.
in the bag.
Favorite club in the bag? Hybrid.
Okay, what is it? Is it a 4
It's a-
hybrid? What do you,
It's a 2 hybrid. It's borderline a 5 wood. It's an 18 degree.
Okay.
If I have to hit a ball in the fairway under any given circumstances, it's that club coming out of the bag.
Dog leg left or right?
Doesn't I'm taking dog leg rights all day.
front pin or back pin?
Front pin.
Draw or fade? You know what this
Fade.
is.
You get one course to play for the rest of your life. Where's it going to be?
Wow. Give me Chapelco Golf Club in the Patagonia, Argentina.
That's our most extravagant answer ever. I mean,
Give me
people
that
think
one.
like Augusta or
We
St.
played-
Andrews. That's
No.
awesome.
That is without a doubt one of the coolest, prettiest golf courses I've ever seen.
Give me that one name one more time.
Chapelco Golf Club.
I think we need to go there now, Mike.
I think
And you,
Nicholas-
Alex. We're all three going to go.
Yeah, we played one of the Latin events there my first year. It's down way south Argentina. I think Nicholas built that course down there because he used to go down there
Yep.
like fishing or something.
Okay,
Yep,
so
says
why is that on
it
your
is a
list?
Nicholas course.
Why is that the
Dude,
one?
I mean, just from start to finish, all the holes are incredible. You've got like the snow-capped mountains in the background, like all your fly fishing streams running through the golf course.
Oh
Oh,
wow.
I'm sold.
It's so sick.
Fly fishing
Okay.
and golf, I'm sold. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, playing in the wind or playing in the rain?
And you got to choose one.
Give me the rain.
Oh, no way. Oh, actually, no, that is mine.
Yeah,
good. Me
rain.
too. I hate the wind. All right, you got a 300-yard hole. Water's guarding the front. You go for it. You lay up.
There's a lot of other things in there, but you know, I'm gonna like just no other circumstances. You gotta go.
Yeah.
What's your dream foursome?
Boy, I knew that question was coming.
And they can be dead. They can be dead too, Alex.
Okay, they can be dead.
Yeah, dead or alive.
Boy, it's gonna be cliche, but I wanna play with Tiger just to like pick his brain about like going about working at the game. Not even necessarily to like watch him play golf, just to like pick his brain about stuff.
Sure.
Boy, I think JT would be really fun. Justin Timberlake. One, he's good, and two, he just seems like he's a ton of fun. He'd be fun to be around. And then, man, probably I'm gonna Vino.
Oh, I like that answer.
Yeah, I think he'd be a good one to have around too. That'd be a fun group of guys, just all for different reasons.
All right, you're on the rules committee, and they say, Alex, we're gonna let you change one rule in golf. What are you gonna do? And there is a wrong answer and a right answer here, just so you know.
This is Mike's favorite question.
Yeah, I feel like I have an idea of what his right answer is. And I don't necessarily know that I
Wait,
agree
hold
with
on. Before you answer, have you listened to any of our episodes?
No, I've not yet.
Okay, and that's fine. Then that's good, actually.
Yeah, I looked up who you had on, and there's some guys that I'm really anxious to hear about, but I wanted to go into this without like kind of knowing.
You
No,
didn't want to
before I
cheat, know the answer.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
To answer this question, I'm glad you did not listen to it.
Yeah.
No offense taken. So yeah, go ahead and answer.
Boy, the one rule that I would like to change.
Drum roll. We need a
Yeah.
drum roll, Mike.
I think that once it comes a point to, and there's going to be a lot of people that like don't think this is professional or anything, but I think that at some point it's got to be too hot where you should let pros wear shorts.
Nice.
I'm a big short guy.
I can allow that.
I like that.
I just went to wearing the joggers like last week, and it's incredible. I never thought I would be that guy either, but the Primo guys hooked me up with some joggers, and I mean, it's like wearing sweatpants while you're playing golf. It's incredible. So, big comfort guy.
What do you think my right answer was then?
Playing balls out of a divot.
There you go.
Yeah.
Wait, so Alex, you swear you have not listened to this?
I haven't, but that's everybody's. That's everybody's.
That is literally his rule.
It's everybody's rule.
That's so funny too. You're like that.
Yep.
I think everybody says it.
Yeah, but I mean, like you're making divots on the golf course too, so like somebody's gonna have to play out of yours. I mean, it's just part of the golf course. That's like there aren't many things.
Ooh, I like that,
find
Alex.
like
I like it.
integral parts of the game, and like we get that like good people fix their divots. We get that, but like even if you fix your divot and even if it's a bent divot, you put the divot back, that ground still sucks under your ball if you hit your ball in there. I mean, I don't 100% disagree with you. But I mean, at this point, we've gotten like, I mean, dude, you can ground your club in a hazard now, which I think is lame. I don't mind like the accidentally moving your ball on a putting green rule change. That was pretty good because, I mean, at some point, those greens get so slippery that it's really not hard for your putter to like slide on the ground and hit your ball or something.
Right.
Most of the rule changes I thought were pretty good, but yeah, man, I mean, they have a rule that are abnormal ground conditions, and you get relief from those, and they haven't put divots into those yet. So
yeah, I think that's where I come from, is that they've changed so much. You get so much preferential treatment outside the fairway now.
Yeah,
like you did your job. You put a ball in the fairway. I don't see any sort of. It's not like you're going to gain advantage if you.
Well, you're also talking to a guy that only hits 1 out of every 2 fairways. So.
Well, you got to give yourself a little bit more credit. It's 58%.
All right, I'm sorry. 3 out of 5, maybe. That's we'll go
Alex,
there.
before we let you go, man, I do want to know, how has golf changed your life?
Boy, it landed me living in a place where I never would have thought I would have lived. I've met so many really good people who, I mean, some people I've run into that want to be a part of it for all the wrong reasons. And I've ran into a lot of people that want to be a part of my life with golf for all the right reasons. And, you know, to know the amount of people that kind of have my back and want to see me succeed has been very humbling. It's allowed me to see a lot of really cool places like Chapelco. I never in my wildest dreams would have thought that I'd go down to, you know, way south tip Argentina and see a golf course in the mountains. And, you know, I think that the other thing is that it's provided, like I said, something that my family kind of can all rally behind, whether it's in tough times or not. But yeah, it's been awesome. And luckily, thanks to, you know, Colorado last year, it's it's something that I'm going to be able to do for at least a few more years. And hopefully, we find the end goal of getting to the PGA Tour and, playing out there for a while. And hopefully at that point I can start giving back to, this game and the community that it grew around me, kind of what everybody's given to me so far. So
Nice.
Well, you can add us to that list who want to see you succeed. And we're happy to have met you. And, all the players that come on the show, we consider them friends of the show. So
yeah, I appreciate you guys. Appreciate that. Appreciate you having me on and letting me kind of tell part of my story. So
Yeah.
we love it, man. We'll be in touch, Alex. And shoot, if you're ever around this area, please reach out for anything you might need. And best of luck to you. And go kick some butt, man. And happy moving. I don't envy you, but yeah, happy packing.
I wouldn't either. But I appreciate it, guys. Same thing. If you ever find yourself around, Central Florida, feel free to holler at me. I got a really good place if you guys want to play some golf. And
I will be taking you up on that. I got a sister-in-law that lives in Cocoa Beach, so.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I mean, feel free to reach out whenever you guys are around here. I'm happy to host. So
will do. Hey, go get some dinner, Alex.
All right. Thanks, fellas. Appreciate it. Good talk. See ya.
Cheers. Rough Fairways is executive produced by Eddie Dunn and Mike Sells. Our thanks again to Alex. Thanks so much for sharing all the stories of how many times you puked in a row. But that is what this platform is designed for. Listeners, thank you for listening as always. For Mike, I'm Eddie. We're Rough Fairways. Remember, be kind to each other.